Hey guys, what is up? So another year has passed by in terms of music for K-pop, which means that I'll be doing RandomMe2011's favorite tag for the third year in a row. I hope you guys enjoyed my answers. Just keep in mind that I do only collect girl group albums, so our opinions will greatly differ from one another's. But nonetheless, without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and get into it. So I rearranged the questions in order that I did last year. So I'm just gonna go from least to best, I guess. So starting with question one, I'm gonna go ahead and do least favorite packaging this year. This was kind of tricky. I didn't think any of the releases that I purchased were bad packaging. You could say like Red Velvet's Perfect Velvet jewel case is bad, but I've sort of grown immune to it by now. And Twicegram, Rookie, and Happy Moment were albums that several didn't enjoy just because of um, the boxy packaging and the lack of coverage for like the cover. Um, but I went ahead and picked Daya's Love Generation, and this isn't exactly like terrible packaging. It's more of like confusing. I honestly think this is superb packaging. I love the outlook of this. I think they did a great job. It looks exactly like two cassette tapes. For those of you that remember what they actually look like. My only issue with this was that I didn't like the fact, let's flip this around again, that you sort of have to buy multiple versions of the album in order to get a complete track list. So obviously for these two, they divided them into two subunits for the year. So you get separate track listing and you get like the constant Can't Stop song throughout every single edition of the album, which is the main track they were promoting. Um, I still don't know if it's like good or bad because I know most people end up buying like multiple versions of an album anyways, like I do. But it's just a bit weird in the sense for other people. I know Tiara also did it early on in the year where they had like member exclusive songs for their album. But also to hit on the Daya album, I was also confused with the present repackage just because if you didn't watch like someone unbox the album, you would have thought you'd be getting a completely separate thing, which you're essentially just getting a disc holder and like this little film strip thing, like a little fold out thing, but that's about it. And you pretty much just get the exact same album that you got the first time. So that's a little iffy. I guess it's good if you waited to get the repackage because that way you save on both albums. But if you purchase both and say like you pre-ordered, you would have been stuck with like the exact same albums again, which is not always a bad thing if you're like into collecting, but just a bit weird. So I'm not gonna say it was bad packaging because I did love the way it was set up. I think the covers are great, the photos and everything, but it's just a bit weird. Um, and to the person that doesn't want to spend too much money on albums, it is a bit bad because then you have to spend on multiple copies. But that's just a bit of a long answer, but we're gonna move it along into an album that surprised me this year. So I went ahead and picked Pristin's debut album. I really enjoyed this release. I thought it was fantastic for a debut album. And the track list is present on this one, so I'll go ahead and show this one more up close, even though this is my favorite one. Track list: Be the Stars, a good opening song. Wii uh, obviously the track list or the title song. Black Widow is one that I sort of tend to skip every now and then just because of, I don't know, it sort of differs or it depends on the mood I'm in, if I'm in the mood to listen to it or not. But it is the track that sort of sticks out from the rest of it, which isn't a bad thing, but the rest of the songs just sort of are more coherent. But regardless, Running is a terrific song. Over and Over is a good little ballad or slower jam. And We is my favorite song on the album. I know it was like a pre-debut track that they released before they actually formed, so it was really cool to have it on here. But yeah, Photobook is gorgeous too. This also differs from the version that you get, so that's always good. It's always better to have two separate things rather than the exact same one. Just sort of skimming through it real quick. But yeah, there is my pick for that. So moving on to favorite photobook concept. I went ahead and picked Daya yet again. I did their YOLO album. This is actually released earlier on in the year. I think this is phenomenal. First of all, you get a pretty thick photo book. Um, and this is also another thing I enjoy that I sort of saw more in releases this year. So if you get like the two versions, they sort of stack up and make out like a logo or whatever. Um, but yeah, getting back into it. So you get a blue version, and it essentially matches up with like the tone throughout the photo book. So you get more blue tones in it or hues, which is really cool. So if you prefer blue or pink, then you know which one to get. And there are like several photos throughout here that show it was shot somewhere in Japan. Um, so I'm assuming it's somewhere over there, unless there was just like random Japan signs in whatever city they were in. But yeah, this is a gorgeous photo book. The setting is nice. The members look gorgeous, so that always helps. But yeah, huge thumbs up to Daya. I was always skeptical about them, but they have gorgeous photo books, as I've realized now, and the music is pretty good. So I'll probably be looking to collect their older releases. So yeah, moving on along into favorite packaging. Um, I felt like everything was fairly standard this year in terms of packaging. So I went ahead and picked Nine Muses, but the one I did, I was fortunate enough to get the limited edition, the big box thing. I did an unboxing on this when it came out. So you essentially get a clear file set, or like two, I think, some postcards, and a glass drinking cup thing. Um, so that was cool, and you got like a poster too. But I don't know. I would like more groups to do it, but it is a bit expensive in terms of like the shipping. Um, the album itself is also really cool. So like you open it up, you get the magnetic clip or cover thing that other groups failed to do, and unfortunately mine has used up its glue, so it's fairly dry. So the CD has fallen out. I'll have to fix that eventually. But yeah, it looks really cool. I love the image that they put here. And yeah, it's an overall nice packaging. You get a lot of goodies if you do manage to pick up the limited edition one. So yeah, moving on along with favorite rookie album. So I wasn't sure if this would actually count as a rookie or not, simply because they had debuted already under a different name. But Dreamcatcher is their new brand name, so I figured, they're starting over. So they've rebranded. Minx was the original name of the group, so they added two new members, and they essentially changed up everything. The style that they've gone with is more darker tone. I don't think this one is as dark as the other releases that they did, simply because this is the third release since their re-debut. But definitely the two earlier singles were a bit more darker. Their sound is more like rocky or rock-ish type, and some people also say it sounds like anime intro stuff, which I could see the connection. So that's really cool, and the sound hasn't gotten tiring for me yet. So it's good to see that they're doing well. A lot of groups aren't successful in rebranding themselves. So congrats to Dreamcatcher, and hopefully they are able to keep making more music because they're doing it well. And I know they're also doing a tour right now, or they're going to. So that's cool to see for them. But yeah, moving on along, we move into favorite subunit. So this was fairly easy. There wasn't many subunits, I think, throughout the year. Um, so I went ahead and picked Luna's Alright Circle. I picked the Max and Match album. Sorry. Uh, no, I think the three members, their single releases before leading up to this were, outstanding material. I think it's what got a lot of people to really get into Luna, especially for the people that were sleeping on them with the prior one third group and its members. Photobook is gorgeous. Members are, beautiful as always. And yeah, hands down, best subunit. Even though there weren't many, I still would have picked it regardless. So love Luna. They really won the year for me. So, moving on along, we'll get into favorite solo release. So for this one, I kind of copped out. I went ahead and split it up into two sort of things. I went ahead and did favorite solo album as a whole. So, I went ahead and did Taeyeon's My Voice for favorite solo album. You get a lot of tracks. You got 17 to be exact. Let me see if it'll focus in. We'll go with that. This is the repackage to, what is it? My Voice. I think they're both My Voice. This is just the repackaged deluxe edition. So I actually could do without this one. Make Me Love You, I thought was like a fairly bland track and just kind of a boring song. I wasn't really feeling it, so I could do away with that song. But other than that, I think the entire album flows really nicely. The beginning songs have like a more standard pop, fresh song to it, or beat to it. So that's really nice. Definitely enjoy those tracks. You also have some good ballads from Taeyeon, as always, that she does. Eraser is a track that actually sounds very different and something I wouldn't expect too much from Taeyeon, but she pulls it off well. I Got Love, I think, is the biggest surprise to a lot of people once the teasers were coming out and the music video came out, simply because it's not something we've really associated Taeyeon with like the more sultry or like more seductive sound to it. And I really regret not getting the photo book for the I Got Love version. That one has some very good photos in it. Um, and yeah, Eraser actually, as I was flipping through the album when I initially got it, I was looking through the credit scenes. And I actually didn't know my friend's brother actually helped write the song. So let me see. I mean, not many people actually look at the credits and whatever, but it was actually arranged and also original. One of the original writers, Dylan. So huge shout outs to him. You know, listening to the song now, it definitely matches up with a lot of the material he does for his band, of Verona. If you guys ever listen to them, or if not, you guys could check it out. Just gonna plug that in there. But a super cool song. Congrats to Taeyeon. I think a lot of people are picking her album to be the best one of the year. So, definitely unanimous. And the other reason I split up this question, I did favorite solo release. So this is more of like a single. Since Luna was doing mainly singles as opposed to mini albums, I needed to include my girl Kim Lip because this is, one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite. It actually is probably my favorite song of the whole year. I was playing this song nonstop. And I'm referring to Eclipse. Um, I think this is just a phenomenal song that came out. I think this is definitely the song that made more of an impact for people to get into Luna. So she definitely brought more popularity to the group, which I think could be debatable. If Jinsol or Treddy had released a track before Kim Lip, might have been the same, but she was the one to start off the group and definitely got a lot of attention. A lot of people enjoyed the more R&B songs that she did, and God, that music video is gorgeous. Her in that red suit is just good grief. But yeah, the choreography is fantastic. Her voice is beautiful. Um, I could praise her all day, but this is essentially my favorite solo release. I was gonna do this as my favorite overall release, but it didn't seem fair to have her one Eclipse song against Taeyeon's entire album. So I just had to put her in there. So love my girl Kim Lip. And then we move along into favorite album of the year. So I don't like doing multiple, answering multiple questions with a single answer, but Odd Eyed Circle's Max and Match is by far my favorite album. Taeyeon had some good songs, but some of the ballads I can sort of skip. Um, but Max and Match is an album that I completely listen to all the way through without any skips. The intros are fantastic. Sweet Crazy Love, brilliant repackaged title track to go with Girlfriend from Mix and Match. Lunatic, if you're ever in the car and you're playing it in the stereo or whatever, it's really gets the bass going, so it sounds really cool. I enjoyed the more R&B tones that they had with this, and just really cool to see them making more music. It's crazy to see how last year I was essentially putting Luna, although it wasn't these three members, as the group to watch out for this year. And I think my prediction came through. A lot of more people got more into them. For the people that were sleeping on the group, um, they paid more attention to them. Um, and now, just about a year later, we're only like two members short of having the complete group. So I couldn't be any happier for Luna, and I'm happy to support them as much as I'm able to. Hopefully, with the announcement of their tour or their concert, they're able to do some international shows. But that's wishful thinking for now. So to wrap up this tag, we're gonna end it off with an album recommendation, and we'll go ahead and pick Lovely's Now We, or Chikum Uri, which sounds a lot better than Now We. Um, I think this was a fantastic repackage of Are You Ready? This definitely was big for Lovely's in terms of it got them their first win on the show. So that was really cool to see, and huge thumbs up to Lovely's. The photo book is okay. It has a very Lovely's-esque vibe in terms of like the filter and the styling of it that they're always dressed in. So it's nothing really new there. But the track list is what I really enjoy. As I've said before, there's not a Lovely's album that I don't like. And this is another one. So it has a nice flow, like it progresses really nicely if you're listening to it. So you get some more pop songs in the beginning, and then you get some ballads towards the middle of it, and then it ends up with like a really cool ethereal sound at the end. So you get Wow, which is the repackage before this. You get Chikam Uri, which is a really nice repackaged song. Um, then you get Cameo, which is really cool. I believe that's the one they also performed on music shows. And then you also get some sneak peek of some subunits. So you get some three members here, three more here, and then two to wrap it off. My recommendation, my favorite song for the album overall is track 11, which is Night and Day. It's a bit hard to see just because of the way it's like placed on the album. But I really dig the sound of it. I don't want to say it's like an eerie sound, but I don't really know how to describe it for my lack of words. Um, but yeah, definitely give that a sound. I really dig the whole tone of it. And track 13, which is Gia and Jisoo's duo. Uh, it has such an ethereal sound to it, and it sort of reminds me of a similar tone to Doll from their new trilogy album, which I thought was my favorite song from that album. So I really love the sound that they're sticking to throughout the albums, even though it's not multiple tracks. But yeah, definitely give this a listen if you guys aren't into Lovelies or don't or haven't listened to this yet. It's a good album, and yeah. So that does it for my answers for the tag. Just sort of gonna zoom out a bit. I'm just gonna spread it out a bit. So definitely let me know what you guys think. If you guys agree with any of my choices, or if you guys disagree, what you guys would have picked. I would love to hear your guys' feedback. And here's to hoping that 2018 brings some more fantastic music as 2017 had. And lastly, cannot wait to finally see Luna debut as an entire group. But yeah, that's just rambling off on the side note. So I'm just gonna end it here. Hope you guys have a good new year and enjoy whatever holidays are left, even though I think most are done. But yeah, have a good one. See you next time.